Welcome back to the channel Gadgets for Gentlemen. In today's video I'm going to make a quick comparison between two affordable Casio watches. We have the Casio F91W 1YEG on the left, and on the right we have the Casio G-Shock DW5600UE-1ER. Today I am wearing one of my favorite watches. This is the Omega Seamaster Professional Diver 300 meters, and I have it here on the original metal bracelet. In the background we have the Tudor Black Bay 58 Blue on the Tudor fabric strap, as well as the Tudor Pelagos FXD. We have some watch stands by Wristonomy, and we have a watch roll by Wristonomy. Now let's get started. What is the purpose of this video? Is to help you make an informed decision if you are in the market for an entry-level Casio digital watch. So first let's start with the Casio G-Shock. What are the most important specifications? What is the most important information you need to know about this watch? But first let me show you the presentation of this watch. The watch came in this paper box, very simple. And here in the back we can again see the reference number. This watch is made for the European market and it is very affordable. I think it's a great value for money product. I will include a screenshot of the price. Of course there's the retail price, but also many times you can find it on sale. So as you can see, a very simple box with this G-Shock. Basically all the money goes into the product, which I think is a good thing. Not a pretty case or anything, just paper. And here we have the most important specs on this tag. Again, we have the reference number, as you can see right here. Now here we have the G-Shock. Most important specifications of this watch is we have a stopwatch. Let me demonstrate it. Here we have the stopwatch. We have a timer, which we can see right here. For example, this 10-minute timer, which is very useful. Here we have the stopwatch. Very easy to operate with these big buttons, as you can see right here. Meanwhile, we can still see the time, as we can see right here in the top right button. So very useful. You can track something with the stopwatch. At the same time, you can keep a track on the actual time. And to reset, we go top left. Now that is the stopwatch. We have the timer, which I also use a lot. For example, like a 10-minute break. And here we can see the time elapsing. And to reset, again, we use the top left. Another feature is an alarm function, which we can see right here. On top of that, there's the hourly chime, flash alert, and very important, which is for me the reason for purchasing this one, is the LED backlight in the color white. We can see all these features. They are also indicated on the sides of the watch. We can see the mode button, adjust, start, stop, and then here the light on the right one. So if you use this button, we have a white backlight, and it's spread equally across the dial. It's very legible. So in the dark, I wear this watch going to bed. And I can, even when I'm quite sleepy, I can find that button easily with my nail. And that way, in the dark, you can still tell the time, if it's time to wake up, so on and so forth. So these are the most important specs in terms of the features. The watch is shock resistant. We can see the time either in 12 hours or we can see it in 24 hours. I prefer the 24-hour layout. So that's why I chose this setting. We can see the month, which is 5, which is May. We can see the day, which is 3. And we can, that's the date. And we can see the day of the week, which is abbreviated SA, as in Saturday. 20 bar water resistance, 200 meters. Case dimensions are 48.9 times 42.8 times 13.4 millimeters. So this watch is actually, it's quite big. but still with my small wrist I can get away wearing it. Here again, from the top of the watch, which is somewhere here, I do indeed measure 13.4, which is the highest point of the watch, which are these protective parts right here. So basically when you wear the watch, like on paper, it's quite thick, but in reality, I would argue that the top of the watch would be somewhere here. As you can see, this part, that's the bulk of the height, I would argue. And these parts, these protective parts, you hardly notice. So if you measure it from here, you will notice that actually the watch wears a bit slimmer. Then we have a thickness of 12.6. So don't be scared by the thickness. As mentioned, the 13.4, because in reality, in my opinion, the thickness is much slimmer, because it's just these two bumpers that create that thickness. What else? 48.9. I think we have this distance, which is very hard to measure. Yeah, I think 48.9 must be this like lug to lug distance. So we have about this size, 48.9. And it's actually a bit larger even, because as you can see right here with this strap, you can see that the strap also goes to the sides. So you could argue that this is like a 50 millimeter lug to lug distance almost. So it does take some space on your wrist because of this length, which is actually maybe a bit similar to the Omega, with also quite a long lug to lug distance, as you can see right here. I would argue that the distance is actually, it's quite similar, but then with the Omega you can see that the bracelet goes down, as you can see, very flexible, while the Omega, the G-Shock really extends quite a bit. So this watch will look good on large wrists. But even with my 6.3 inches wrists, I think I can get away with the G-Shock. So those are the metrics. 42.8. It's about this distance. So it's the distance from this part right here to this part. Yeah, that's I would say like a 43 millimeter size. With this G-Shock, I think it's not a big deal that the watch is a bit bigger. The weight, we have 52 grams according to Casio. Let's have a closer look. And that is 52. Let me demonstrate it. So that is 52 grams, as you can see right here. Now, what's more to say? The watch is made out of a resin case, which is a bit of a plasticky material. Also a resin watch strap, as we can see right here. I think we have a stainless steel case back, which we can see here, which is connected to the resin case with these 4 screws, as you can see. We have mineral glass on the top of the watch. The watch operates on a CR 2016 battery, which should have a lifespan of approximately 5 years. One more detail in terms of the strap. Should you have a strap failure with this watch, it is possible to either buy a new watch strap or to buy an aftermarket watch strap. I have these watch straps laying around from Vario. These are leather watch straps, and they change the look of the G-Shock quite a bit. And these are waterproof leather straps thanks to Scotchgard. That would change the look quite a bit. And as you can see with the G-Shock, you actually have quite a wide strap that actually tapers down a bit to the buckle, as we can see right here. But it starts off very wide. Vario also makes these watch straps in other colors. This is, for example, a gray color, which I think looks quite nice with this black watch. I think the strap of the G-Shock starts at about 26 millimeters, as we can see right here, very wide, and then it tapers down to about There must be 20, I guess. So we start with like 26 down here, and we taper down to about 18 or 19 millimeters, as we can see right here. That's 18, that's about it. Okay, so that is in a nutshell, that is the Casio G-Shock. Why I really like this watch, it's super robust, the 200 meters of water resist. We have a ton of features. However, you still have a bit of a price, and I think it's also worth considering, especially if you have a smaller wrist size, to go with the Casio F91, which we have here on the left. I will go into all the specifications right now, but first let me just give you a little bit of a look how these two watches pair up. What are some of the similarities and what are some of the differences in terms of the visual look. We can pretty much see a very similar dial in terms of the layout, but the G-Shock has a little bit of more information, which I tend to find very useful, because you have the month indicated with the G-Shock here in the top right, and this is something we cannot see with the F91. Here the month, it's not indicated with the F91. Also with the F91, if you use the stopwatch, you don't see the actual time, unlike with the bigger brother. We can still see the actual time while you're measuring your stopwatch. I think that's a useful feature with this G-Shock, making it a bit more versatile. Also, for me, the most important feature with the G-Shock is the timer. The F91 has no timer feature. Let me demonstrate. We just have the mode for changing the time and date. Then we have the alarm. We also have an hourly chime, stopwatch, and we go back to the time setting. So no timer function. And these are some differences in terms of the dimensions. I would say for my 6¼ inch wrist, both watches are very wearable. Definitely the F91 really blends in under your wrist due to that thickness. I will give you all the metrics in a second, but I still get away with wearing the G-Shock. I don't really mind the much larger dimensions, because it's still a very lightweight watch and still very feature rich. Now let me give you some of the specifications of the F91. But again, first show you how the watch arrived. It arrived in this very simple box again. Here we have the reference number. This watch was made for the European market, as you can see right here. And just like the G-Shock, a very simple box, again with the tag and just the name Casio. So not even the features are mentioned with this watch. However, it doesn't really matter. It's a very simple but nice looking box. And let me just give you some of the most important specs with this Casio F91. So with this watch we have a 12-hour or 24-hour time. I like 24, as mentioned before. We have the date and we have the day. So we have the date and we have the day, but we no longer have the month. The watch features stopwatch, daily alarm and an hourly signal. There is a micro light which you use or activate using the top left button. As you can see here on the dial, it reads light, and the micro light is not very legible, at least not to me, and we can see that the light is green and it's coming from this corner. Only this corner there's a light, not on this part, so the dial is not very much legible, for me at least. It really takes a lot of concentration to tell the time in the dark when you activate that light button. However, I think it's still a very sweet feature with this watch. The watch is water resistant, but it's not indicated how many meters. I did swim with this watch previously and I had no problems, but I'm not even sure if you are supposed to swim with it. The watch also works on one CR 2016 battery, but this one has a bit of a longer lifespan. Maybe it's because it uses less features, maybe because the light is much more efficient, because now Casio claims you can have a lifespan of about 7 years. We have super small proportions, we have 38.2 times 35.2 times 8.5 millimeters. So first the thickness, I get about 8.3 when I really push these calipers. Casio claims it's 8.5. I get a little bit of a thinner profile here with this watch. 38.2 must be the lug to lug distance, which is this distance. It's very short, as you can see. So this will go with like any wrist size without problems. Even kids can wear this probably. Always this part is a bit tricky to measure, but I also indeed get about 38 millimeters. Casio claims it's 38.2, which, oh, it's correct. I get 38.1. Then we have 35.2, which must be this metric, which is also quite hard to measure with these buttons everywhere, but let me just give it a try. I don't know how Casio measures this part. When I measure the shortest width, I get 32.8, which is this dimension right here. If I include one of these buttons and the bumper here on the side, I get a little bit of a larger dimension. I get about 35.6 millimeters, as you can see, measured from this part to this part. Case material. We also have a resin case. We have a resin strap, but now we have also a resin glass. So not mineral glass, but resin glass. And I think we have a stainless steel case back also connected to the case with 4 screws made in China. So, and also maybe worth mentioning, we have quite a narrow strap with this watch, so it wears very comfy. And here we're dealing with a lug width of 18 millimeters. And as you can see, I have been using this watch quite a bit. I love it. That is the strap. With the strap, you have the Casio buckle in black, and there's actually quite some adjustment holes. I'll throw it on the wrist right now to show you what it looks like. So here we have the 6.25 inch wrist with an imprint of my Omega watch. I was wearing it a bit too tight on the wrist today. So here we have the F91, and as you can see with my wrist size, I'm somewhere, I think I'm in the 7th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the 7th adjustment hole. Then we have one adjustable keeper to keep that strap a bit in place. And this is what it looks like on my 6.25 inch wrist. And as you can see, we have a very, very thin profile. And the watch is like feather light. It's hardly noticeable on the wrist. This particular watch, what would be the reason for purchasing this watch? I think the best reason is the price point. Like, this is such an affordable watch. I'll leave a link to the product in the description, as well as a screenshot of the price that I found it for. Also, many times on Amazon, you can find it for a great deal. But let's proceed with the G-Shock. Now here we have the G-Shock. Great looking watch. And let me throw it on the right wrist. Actually, maybe one more thing worth pointing out. We saw with the F91, on the case back, it was reading China. On this particular watch, it reads Thailand on this buckle, as you can see. So that is interesting. So let's throw it on the wrist. And this is what it looks like on my wrist, also 6.25 inch wrist. And I wear it a bit loose, so I can still breathe a bit. The strap feels much more sturdy compared to the F91. This is what it looks like on the wrist, and this is what it looks like by comparison. As you can see, if you want a very sportive, very durable watch, you should get the G-Shock on the right. If you just want a very affordable watch, you don't need a timer, you don't really care about the backlight, I think the F91 is a better, more low-key watch. It definitely wears better underneath, for example, a long sleeve or a shirt or a jumper, because it's so thin, it will just slide underneath anything. However, I think the G-Shock feels more like an actual watch because it is quite a bit beefier. It is twice as heavy as the F91. And I also like the colors of the G-Shock. I think this is a great looking piece. But the F91 is also quite iconic. I think it's a watch from the 90s. Beautiful piece. So that's really yeah, all I can say about it. Great looking watches. And let me know which of these watches you prefer. I think with both watches you can't go wrong. I definitely wear these watches more than my dive watches. I wear it more than, for example, my Pelagos, because I never need to worry about safety. I never need to worry about damaging that beautiful titanium diver. Also the Black Bay, as well as the Omega. Really fantastic watches in my opinion, but they're also yeah, quite a bit more delicate. They are heavier on the wrist, especially when I'm working in the house or on the street. Sometimes I just feel more comfortable and confident wearing a more simple watch, because if anything were to happen to these watches, they're much easier to replace at a much lower price point. So this was the end of the video. I hope you find the video helpful. I tried to give you some feedback on what could be a great Casio digital watch. Personally, I think both of these watches are great, but I personally prefer the G-Shock. Although it's a bit bigger and thicker, it's a bit more pricey. I think the tons of features is making this watch such an amazing piece. Thank you for watching. Have a fantastic day, and I hope to see you soon.